Okay, what I have here is a Folger Adam 110 Mogul cylinder, standard Mogul cylinder. And I'm going to demonstrate how to take it apart and reassemble it using the existing parts and pieces. So this is a Mogul key, standard Mogul cylinder, Folger Adam cylinder. So first thing, you take the key out, take the cam off. You get two little cam screws. Simple enough. We insert the key into the keyway. I always like to turn it slightly. Take the plug follower, insert it, push the plug through the cylinder housing. And then you see the shear line, just like so. Nothing's too high, nothing's too low. And if I wanted to take the pins out, it's a good idea to keep them in order. And what you'll see coming out of the chambers is a change tumbler or bottom pin and a small ball bearing, stainless steel ball bearing. And the bottom pins do have a bottom to them. If you can see it, it's concave a little bit, and it sits right on top of the ball bearing. So it is a top and bottom to the ball bearings, to the pins. So we set them aside so there's nothing inside the plug itself. And to put the pins back in or to rekey it to another key, you would insert the key and drop the pins back in, put the ball bearing in, and as you can see, it meets the shear line. So we do that really quick. It's only 5 pins. There's only 5 chambers in this particular cylinder. We drop these in. And the good thing about it, we can see that it's going to work because we see the shear line. There's no guesswork. There you go. Okay, so we set that aside because what we're going to do is totally disassemble all the pins out of the lock, out of the cylinder. And so we take the springs and drivers out. Now the drivers will come out pretty easily. And the drivers, if you notice, these drivers are shaped a certain way. And they're called mushroom drivers. And they're shaped, the mushroom drivers are shaped that way to prevent you from picking the lock. And so I'm going to take the springs out. Once you take the springs out of the chambers, you end up with a master ring, a piece of brass, and a washer or a spacer. So to put it back together is quite simple. And so everything is taken apart, and what I would do is clean it, all the dirts and oils out of it, clean it, put it back together, like so. Now you just drop the spacer in any way you like. It's down in there. The master ring, this lock is not going to be master keyed, but the master ring, you have to have the master ring inserted for it to work properly. But there is a front and a back to this master ring. If you notice, this chamber is closer to the edge than this chamber. So this is the front of my master ring. So there's a front and a back, and if you put it in backwards, it won't work. So I put my master ring in, and what I like to do is I just put all my springs in at once before I start putting my drivers in. So all 5 springs go in. And as you can see, it's pretty quick. I put the first 3 in, the last 2. And they're all in there. So then I insert my plug follower. And usually I will work on the 3rd chamber in. And you have 2 different size drivers. And to determine which size driver you use, you look at your key, and where you have a deep cut, you would use a short driver. And where you have a shallow cut on your key, you would use a longer driver. If you see here, I only have one short. I call them short and long. We only have one short. And so I'm going to put it in the 4th chamber when I get to there. So I'm going to take a long driver. And so the mushroom part is going to go up. And I put it into the housing. And what I do is just take my finger and push it down, and then come over it with my plug follower. So it's in. And so you repeat that. Goes pretty quickly until you get all 5 in. Mushroom portion up, bind it, push it down. And remember, I wanted to put that shorter driver in the 4th chamber. So there we go. Push it down, and my last driver goes in, and everything's in. Put the plug back in. It works great. I'm going to pinch the key out. Now what I'm doing is holding the plug in place with my index finger, or you can reach over here and hold it in, but you better hold it in, otherwise that plug will come out, right? Pinch that out, put your cam back on, put your cam plate on. It does have a side that's countersunk for the screws, because we are using flathead screws, and that's one that's not, so we want to use the countersunk side up. And we always want to have the slot down. Put it back, put the screws back on in. And you can use Loctite on these screws if you like, so they don't back out on you, but normally you don't need to. Tighten them up good and tight. Try your key. And it works great. Round and round it goes. And that's how you disassemble and reassemble a Folger Adam 110 Mogul cylinder.